Hey everyone, this is the Rewriter writing in. For today's video, I will be rewriting another side quest from Arkham Knight, Man-Bats. This character was highly requested for years by the fans to be in an Arkham game, and when he showed up, like the rest of Arkham Knight, it was extremely underwhelming. There was so much potential to tell an awesome side story with Man-Bat, especially since this game is rated M, so they could tap into the crazier aspects of his character. Instead, they chose to have a repetitive scenario where you just fly onto his back multiple times, not even having a true boss fight with him. In the end, for all the hype this side quest received, it fell completely flat. But before we get into the rewrite, if at any point you enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content just like this. So, with this intro out of the way, let's dive into the rewritten side quest of Man-Bat. Gliding through the frigid, chilled air, Batman is listening to the radio chatter of malicious soldiers on clues as to who the Arkham Knight could be and what his true plans with Gotham are. After hearing a whole lot of unimportant, mundane banter between bored soldiers patrolling the streets, Batman picked up a communication between three soldiers on a rooftop that caught his attention. From this conversation, it seemed that these soldiers were on a rooftop in Founders Island, standing over a massacred body. One soldier asks if Batman did this, with another replying that a person did not do this. This is definitely some sort of wild animal. The third soldier scoffs, asking how a wild animal could possibly do this. They're on the roof of a 20-story skyscraper. The other replies that he's not sure, but it's not normal. Of course it's not. What is around here? The first soldier asks. Batman shifts gliding directions, seeing the soldier standing around a bloody, mangled body. He kicked the second soldier in the back with a glide kick and quickly disposed of the other two soldiers. Looking down at the body, they were right about one thing. This was an animal attack, no doubt about that. The body had been haphazardly torn apart and there was blood everywhere. Using the DNA scanner in his cowl's detective mode, he saw that along the claw marks throughout his body, there were trace elements of vampire bat DNA. He sends the data to Alfred, asking if there has been any reports lately of animal attacks, specifically from a bat. Alfred replies, saying that other than Bruce's exploits as the Bat, there are no other recorded incidents. This is the first grisly case recorded. However, isn't a bat a little bit too small to be unleashing this level of carnage? Bruce replies that he's right, but something isn't adding up. He tells Alfred to get back to him with any information regarding this bat attack. Alfred comes to Bruce, telling him that Elliott Memorial Hospital was just raided by what sources say was a giant screaming monster. This seems to connect with the previous encounter he had with the malicious soldier in Founders Island. Bruce thanks Alfred for the lead, and upon reaching the hospital, he sees that one of the windows and surrounding wall had been smashed through. Gliding into the debris, Batman walks down the dimly lit hall as lights are strobing from being stomped on or slashed through. Clearly, this creature is rabid, as the chaotic destruction of this hallway demonstrates. Following the claw marks, Batman reaches a laboratory with the banner, Deaf Research, above it. Unsurprisingly, the room had been torn to shreds, but he did notice that a number of DNA samples had been stolen from the supply locker located near a refrigeration station. Bruce patches back into Alfred, saying that this monster may not be just that. He thinks it might actually be a person. This raid was intentional. They were stealing DNA samples and research notes from the Death Studies research lab here. Alfred answers back that the Bat computer was able to track a shipment of vampire bat DNA to a basement laboratory in Chinatown, owned by a Dr. Kirk Langstrom. Bruce thanks him for the information, jumping down into the Batmobile and blasting his way to Chinatown. As Batman opens the door to the lab, every item in there is torn to pieces, smashed and disheveled. A TV screen hung in front of him, tilted to the side, as a video recording played of Dr. Kirk Langstrom and his wife explaining the research that they were working on. He says that the exceptional hearing and sonar qualities found present in the vampire bat can be bound into a human's genetic code, thus solving the problem of deafness. Before ending his monologue, he motions to the camera in sign language, telling his daughter that this research is for her and that they will heal her, he promises. The next shot is of his wife recording the test experiment that he performed on himself. As he begins the procedure, something goes horribly wrong, with his wife dropping the camera, and after shaking, she drops dead in front of him. The camera then shuts down, looping the video again. As it's playing in the background, Batman observes more of the lab, seeing Kirk's wife dead on the ground. He walks over, seeing blood all around the back of her head. This blunt force trauma shows that he wasn't in control of his actions then. He then sees a broken computer screen, which trying to get the computer to turn back on would be impossible at this stage. Bruce contacts Alfred, telling him that Kirk Langstrom and his wife were working on a cure for their daughter's deafness, but by splicing the DNA of a vampire bat with a human's. Alfred replies in shock, saying that such a procedure would surely never work. Bruce agrees, saying that perhaps they were reaching at straws in hopes of finding a miracle cure for her. Alfred asks him what he should do now, with Bruce replying that he needs to find Langstrom and obtain a sample of his blood. Alfred replies that he's right, and that Bruce knows the city better than anyone. He'll find him. After putting Two-Face behind bars and leaving the GCPD, Batman hears the faint sound of a screech off in the distance. Using his grapnel boost, he slingshots across the city, but sees no sign of any bat. He pulls out the grapnel gun again, attaching it to a roof in order to gain more momentum. Langstrom, now a giant blood-soaked man-bat, slices at Batman with his claws before flying back into the air. Batman lifts himself onto the roof and uses his grapple to attach it to Man-Bat's foot, which sends him hurtling in the air. Man-Bat flies with incredible speed, so much so that Batman is left dangling below him. Using momentum, Batman must twist and turn around buildings in order to not get smashed into a wall. As he is climbing up his grapple, Man-Bat starts to sever the wire, but not fast enough before Batman gets onto his back and begins punching him in the head. Man-Bat spins in the air as Batman digs his gauntlets into his back, holding him in place. He then begins to knee Man-Bat in the chest, causing him to start falling to the ground. Man-Bat continues to try to flip Batman around, so that when he falls, he lands on him instead of the concrete. But Batman attempts to do the same as they hit the side of a building and land in the middle of the street. The group of random thugs and looters that were there immediately scatter in fear, as there are now two bats. Once they both get up, Batman sees the staggering size of Man-Bat. He dodges past a slash as he jumps in the air, kicking Man-Bat in the chest, which leaves him completely unfazed. In midair, Man-Bat grabs Batman's foot and throws him multiple feet back. Batman pulls out a few batarangs out of his utility belt, throwing them into Man-Bat's wings as he screeches and rips them out. Man-Bat flies at Batman, slicing his leg and stomach, taking a chunk out of his armor. Batman taps a few buttons on his gauntlet, and before he could grab Batman again, a high-pitched noise causes a piercing sensation in Man-Bat's head that causes him to stumble back. This gives Batman enough time to stick a syringe in Man-Bat's neck, taking out a sample of his blood. But Man-Bat quickly throws Batman off of him, ripping at his gauntlet, disabling the high-pitched noise that was stunning him, and flies off. Breathing heavily, Batman contacts Alfred, telling him that he was able to get a sample of Langstrom's blood, but it wasn't easy to come by. Alfred gasps, asking if it's true that he's some sort of bad creature now. Bruce replies that he is, but there is a way to cure him. He's going to send this blood sample via the Batmobile to Alfred for him to synthesize a cure, untangling the corrupted DNA in order to get a clean sample. Just then, Nightwing contacts Batman, telling him that another North refrigeration truck just showed up in Miagani Island. As Batman is mowing down militia vehicles patrolling the streets, he picks up comm chatter again that Batman has been located flying directly above the streets and that a commander was en route to shoot him down. Batman changed the coordinates in the Batmobile to isolate that signal and track the vehicle following Man-Bat. During pursuit, Alfred contacts Bruce, informing him that the cure is located safely in the side compartment of the Batmobile and ready for use when the time comes. Once he gets to that area, he sees the militia commander's vehicle attempting to shoot down Man-Bat, who's eating a militia soldier. The commander screams that this thing isn't Batman, but shoot it down nonetheless. Batman engages with the militia vehicles, taking them down one by one, using missiles, the Vulcan cannon, and EMP blasts to disable the vehicles. Sideswiping the last of the infantry vehicles, Batman targets the commander's tank. It takes multiple more missiles and shock blasts than the other vehicles. A turret operator pops out of the back and starts firing on the Batmobile. However, the almost impenetrable armor shell of the Batmobile casually deflects the blasts as a single shot with the rubber bullet firing mode knocks out the gunner. Using the front of the Batmobile as a battering ram, Batman launches towards the back end of the tank, crumbling it and causing the vehicle to roll multiple times before slamming into a wall. Batman then moved to follow Man-Bat, shooting out the rubber projectiles to knock him out of the sky. Man-Bat keeps avoiding these shots as the Batmobile keeps pace, but is slowly behind. He then changes course, swooping down onto the Batmobile as he starts to claw and tear at it. Batman activates an electric shock on the exterior that knocks Man-Bat onto the ground. He gets up immediately, but is knocked down again by the Batmobile's back wheel. Batman takes the serum out of the Batmobile as he ejects out of it and lands on top of Man-Bat. He reaches down to stick the cure in, but it's knocked out of his hands, landing onto the street. Batman uses Man-Bat's face as a launch pad, kicking it and flying towards the serum. He picks it up, but is grabbed so forcefully that it springs out of his hand again. Pulling a batarang out of his belt, he shoves it into Man-Bat's arm, using his gauntlet to counter a strike. Man-Bat screams in pain as he flies Batman through a building and slams him down onto a roof. Reeling in pain, Batman stumbles up, a batarang in each hand, as he stands in a defensive position. Man-Bat lunges at him as he uses the batarangs to keep him at bay, slicing at his arms and legs. Batman knew that he needed to get back to the street and grab the cure, so he threw down a smoke pellet and dive-bombed off the building. Darting out of the smoke, Man-Bat dives down at him. Having only seconds, Batman connects with the Batmobile, arming the Vulcan cannon and aiming it up. Man-Bat reaches out towards Batman, and with one quick motion, he moves to the side as the Batmobile fires a shot, hitting Man-Bat in the head as he crashes to the ground. Batman limps over to the cure and sticks it in Langstrom's neck as he slowly starts to turn back into a man again. He's shivering on the ground, and as he stands up, his feet give out and he falls back down. He looks at his hands as they're covered in blood. He even tastes blood in his mouth. When he sees Batman, he cowers in fear, asking where he is and what's going on. Batman tells Kirk to calm down and that he needs to come with him. He cries, asking why he has blood all over him. Batman asks him how much he remembers before turning into this. He wipes his eyes, saying that he was in his lab with his wife, testing their serum to cure deafness. And then only bits and pieces, like going to a lab to get supplies, but that's it. Batman explains that the experiment went wrong, and it turned him into a murderous monster. He's better now, but he needs to come with him so he can make sure he stays that way. He shakes his head, saying that he needs to get back to his wife, make sure she's okay. Batman looks down, telling him that he wasn't in control. Langstrom starts to shake, nodding his head furiously, shouting no over and over. It couldn't have happened. He begins to sob, shouting what has he done, and slumps down. Batman puts his hand on his shoulder, telling him that it wasn't his fault. He throws Batman's hand off him and crawls over to one of the batarangs on the ground, pointing it to his neck. Batman shouts for Langstrom to stop, but he ignores him, saying that his research, his wife, they're gone. He has nothing left. Batman pleads with him, saying that his daughter needs him. If he's gone, she'll have nothing. He has something to live for, and she needs him. His research can change lives. He just needs a new direction. With the batarang shaking around his neck, after he looks down, tears falling to the rain-slicked streets, he drops it onto the ground. Batman offers him a hand, lifting him up and putting him into the Batmobile. He brings him into the GCPD and into a secure cell, telling him that he's sorry for what has happened, but he'll make sure the right people continue his research safely. His daughter will get the help she needs, he promises that. Langstrom nods his head, but then puts it in his hands as he slumps down, sobbing. And that's the end of my story. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of my version of this side quest? What other side quests would you like to see rewritten next? Let me know all of this in the comments below. Feel free to join my Discord server and follow my second channel, Rewriter Gaming, where I stream some of my favorite games and chill with you guys. The links for those are in the description below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Thanks again, and this is the Rewriter, writing out.